So this one, Nvidia just invested $2 billion into CoreWeave. It's a data center play.
Nvidia is going to invest an additional $2 billion into CoreWeave by purchasing common stock at a price of $87.20 a share. Stock right now in pre-market up, bouncing around actually. I think there might be some algo moves going on in that. You know, when we spoke to Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang last night in a Bloomberg interview, he said this is simply about confidence in CoreWeave, CoreWeave's plan, CoreWeave's management to build out capacity, accelerate data center capacity. But we asked him, well, isn't it circular financing? And his answer to that was very simply, it's not circular financing. It would be ridiculous to call it that because it is a tiny portion of what we know CoreWeave is going to have to raise if they're able to build out data centers to a level where they can meet the demand that's already out there. He also said that it's basically consistent with the investments they've made all over the AI stack at the same level and pushed back pretty hard on that. But unsurprising that CoreWeave, in reaction, had a big jump in the pre-market.
What do the investors that you speak to every single day call if it's not circular financing, Gad? Doesn't it just look and smell like circular financing?
You know, like they would say we have to discern between the different deals. In some of the investments Nvidia makes, they are explicit that it's not a quid pro quo. In other words, the startup they're investing in can take Nvidia's money, but they're not required to use Nvidia chips. In this case, CoreWeave now up more than 9% in the pre-market. There is a technology arrangement here as well. So one of the other big pieces of news, you see like AMD and Intel under pressure in the pre-market, is Nvidia is going to start offering its CPU, not its GPU, its CPU as a standalone offering, and CoreWeave gets to be first to deploy that. You know, it's hard when it's both a technology and financing arrangement to move past the circular argument.
When CoreWeave was going public, it was having a hard time.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of concern about circular financing because all these companies are investing in each other.
Right.
Like, it's weird.
It's, yeah. It's it is a little weird to keep investing into each other.
But that's how serious. But on the other hand, it's like they're showing how serious it is. Like we have to.
Yeah, it's
like
a must. We're literally in a race right now. We're in a visible race.
What I'm saying.
Almost like a Cold War Part 2 for.
Exactly. So it's like we need financing to build the 5-layer cake, or that's energy, data centers. You know what I mean? Memory, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like RAM, all that. So they're investing back in. You got to invest back in the ecosystem. And Nvidia's doing like, let me see how much they're doing.
And so by investing into the company, does that mean they get to build more data centers? This is just like, like a capital thing, or is it just
wait? Say that again.
Like so Nvidia's investing $2 billion into CoreWeave, right?
Yeah.
So is that $2 billion to build more data centers with their products?
I gotta see. Let me just look into it a little more. Let's see. But I'm just looking up Nvidia's free cash flow. But for January 2026, they have a free cash flow projected to reach roughly $96 billion, bruh. They got Nvidia.
Oh, damn.
Over the trailing 12 months, capital expenditures have reached nearly $6 billion, representing a 5% increase year over year.
96 billion. So they got in cash.
Yeah. Like, bruh.
Money to blow.
It's just like they got so much money, they have to. They need to spend it somewhere, bruh.
Not for real.
That's crazy. Like,
they got more money than countries.
You feel me?
Like they got more money than countries.
Ridiculous. Let me finish playing.
Time getting a good pricing, and then Nvidia kicked in and said, we're going to be a part of this particular IPO. And I think what's happening here is this: Nvidia is creating the chips, and CoreWeave is helping them sell the computing using those chips to different public that's out there. Now, at this time, CoreWeave has a massive backlog of orders, but it needs to get funding done in order to convert that into data centers and then capacity. Now, Nvidia isn't giving them money straight away, but it's basically saying, we have confidence in this company, and it would help. Then CoreWeave go out and raise capital from outside. So I think it's a little bit more like spreading the Nvidia ecosystem is that's happening right now.
Looking at your,
is basically so like CoreWeave is similar to hold on real quick. CoreWeave is similar to Nebius. Nebius is another stock play I've been invested in, but it's pretty much like an AI data center cloud type vibe for the most part. So Nvidia, AMD will give chips to them to rent out, and other companies can come to them to pretty much do their compute, have their compute with CoreWeave.
On the cloud. So
on the cloud. Instead of buying the whole infrastructure, the company buying, they can basically rent they running out GPUs.
Got you.
Yeah. And it's like it's a smart idea. It's a smart idea.
Yeah, man.
So like you said, the cloud, everything going to the cloud, bro.
Everything's already in the cloud. Shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, already.
Can't even escape it.
Exactly.
Research note that CoreWeave has $50 billion in remaining performance obligations. What does that mean?
Yeah, basically it says this is kind of the contracted revenue they have on hand, which means, Microsoft has said, you know what, I'm good for 10 out of that, for example. Meta has a deal with them. So they have this backlog of all these orders. But, unlike other companies, you just can't go out and fulfill the demand. You have to create a very large data centers using Nvidia chips. It then starts to work out or runs, and then you realize that 50 billion into revenue over the next several years.
So what's the gating issue here for CoreWeave? Is it more access to more data centers? What's kind of the gating issue for them to fulfill that revenue?
There are multiple gating factors. One is actually the data center itself. For that, you need land, you need power. The chip side is okay at this point because Nvidia is there, but then also you need capital. I mean, CoreWeave is not a company like Microsoft or Amazon that has unlimited capital to create these data centers. It has to go in the market and raise capital. Before they went public, I mean, their cost of capital was north of 10%. Right now, after they went public, I mean, the cost of capital has gone down to about 8%. But the entire neoclouds arena, whether it is CoreWeave or whether it is Nebius, really depends on private credit lending or lending by other banks to really come up with the funding to create these data centers.
So I also see in the news here today that Microsoft unveils latest AI chip to reduce reliance on Nvidia. What's going on there?
So this is something that's going on with all hyperscale cloud providers, whether that's Google with its CPUs, Amazon with its chip, and now Microsoft launching. I mean, they have one chip, but the first generation was not, you could say, did not do that well in terms of, reception from customers. What Microsoft is hoping here right now is, for training, they'll still use the more powerful Nvidia chips. But for, running, let's say, a Copilot, they could get around and use less powerful chips and big bang. If they do that, they actually save a lot of money. In our math, we think if Microsoft is going to spend, somewhere north of $140 billion this year, more than 50 of that is going to go just buying chips. And so, it's a very big ticket for them, and everybody needs to be doing this, frankly, in-house.
So what's the next thing we should be looking for? We got earnings coming up this week. Anurag, just give us a little preview of kind of what you think the market's keying on this time around.
The biggest thing we want to know is where are the use cases? What kind of AI adoption we are seeing across different sectors? And that's, I think, is going to probably be the most important thing for us. We have already seen that infrastructure spending is very high. Everybody has that big AI factory in place, but is the demand coming from non-LLM customers to deploy those? And that's really, I think, one of the biggest focus areas for us going into this earnings season and probably all of 2026.
So what do you think is the best positioned of kind of the big tech names that you follow for 2026 here? Because there's probably as much concern in the marketplace that this could be a year where the AI story begins to disappoint, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the three companies that are probably better positioned than the others are really Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Because not only do they have an emerging AI infrastructure business, but they also have a legacy cloud business. And one of the ways you deploy this technology is using cloud. So if you're building an application using one of the LLMs, you're hosting it in one of these cloud providers. And we've already seen that, an improvement in growth rates for Microsoft and Google. And I think this year we see that improvement coming in for Amazon as well.